Yes. Welcome to the Lord Petty Podcast. Another episode, another week, and we're doing our damn thing, and I appreciate y'all tuning in. Appreciate you being here. I'm glad whatever forces in the world we're working for you to cross paths with me right here at this moment, this time. I'm grateful for it, so thank you. Appreciate you tuning in. Please be sure to leave a rating if you could. It's very easy. Just go into the Apple jump and click on one of the stars. You know, it takes 2 seconds. If I can take the time to record this for one, buy this camera equipment, which I don't know how to use, set it up so you can see my face and see this wonderful shirt, which is sponsoring the podcast today. Check out lordpetty.com. If you want a shirt and participate in high fashion, that is available to you. So anyways, my girlfriend and I were watching The Bachelorette last night, and I have major beef with this show because I think this is why there's so many miserable women, because what they do, they find the most handsome beta males for this show. Okay. What I want to do is I want to just work out for a year straight. I just want to get jacked. I'll go tanning every day. I'll get like some veneers, and I want to audition for it and do whatever I got to do to get in there. I'll lie and say I'm a doctor. I'll wear my glasses or something. And then I'll go to the auditions and just act like I am here for love. I want to be a handsome, successful guy and be in New Mexico with 20 other guys and chase this 1-8 around. You know what I'm saying? And then I want to fall in love with the girl that's going to come out of a bungalow with my bro who I was doing push-ups with 10 minutes ago. And then we're talking like, oh, bro, how'd it go? Dude, that shit is straight up Stockholm Syndrome. And plus, I don't like it ever since, what's his name? Not Chris Hansen, because Chris Hansen was the guy that was telling people to come sit down. The Predators, his name is Chris something, but he got canceled, okay? And the show ain't been the same since. I actually kind of like watching The Bachelor because it's funny, because it's more realistic. It's a bunch of women competing for a guy, and it makes more sense, okay? If you know anything about human nature, that makes a little more sense. I'm sorry to sound sexist, but these guys on this show, dude, it drives me up the fucking wall because, like I said, they get the most handsome beta males who are just somehow the most clueless humans on the planet. That's why they're these super good-looking guys on this show in the first place, okay? Guys that understand how the world works and how to attract women that are that fucking good-looking and that successful with those types of jobs, they're not going to be 33 years old on the goddamn Bachelor, okay? They're going to be getting snagged up left and right. These guys, she had them running around doing these challenges and eating like a big fucking plate of Twinkies. What dude in his right mind is like, oh yeah, if I eat more Twinkies than Chad, I'm going to win her heart, as she's laughing at me with 2 other girls, including the girl that's on the last season, with the darker complexion and the tickle bitties, who was the replacement from the other one, which most of you won't even have any idea what I'm talking about. But yeah, that show is buckus. They need a real one. They need like a rapper. They need they literally need just somebody from the hood to go on there and just be like, bitch, I ain't doing that. Fuck that. And it would make the show. It's like like some biker, like some just super alpha male biker guy or something like that would really make the show for me. Speaking of bikes, I am selling my motorcycle. If you want to buy a 2018 Yamaha MT-09, holler at your boy, because ever since I got T-boned by a transvestite, I've realized that things just happen that you have no control over, and I'm getting old and I'm trying to live, and that is a luxury item, and I'm just trying to grind right now. So, and I'm trying to sell it for $8,000, okay? Which, I mean, I would go down just a little bit. And I've never been a big reseller anyways. I've never been into that. You know, a lot of people, they'll go to garage sales and get shit and flip it. I just don't like dealing with people like that because they annoy the fuck out of me. Because here's what's been happening, okay? I posted the bike for $8,000. And like I said, I'd be more than willing to cut somebody some sort of a deal, like $7,000 or $7,500. I'd probably even go down to $6,500. It just depends. You know, it depends on the situation. But people are messaging me, and then they'll go, I'll give you $5,000 cash. As opposed to what, bro? A favor? How are you going to give me 800 in stones? In gold? Yeah, 6,000 cash. What's the lowest cash price you'll go? Well, bro, the lowest money I will go is 7,500. What were you expecting? You're gonna give me a goat? Were you gonna give me some goats from my farm so I can get milk off them? The fuck? These people probably have master's degrees, you know? These people probably have money. If they're willing to spend that type of money on a motorcycle, you know, they probably have money. And you would think they're smart, you know? That's my big beef that I have with companies now. Well, always. I think companies are actually getting better thanks to guys like Elon Musk and shit like that. But big companies, I got a quest for you. Why would you rather hire somebody with a communications degree versus somebody that's actually really smart and probably had some trials and tribulations in their life and learned a lot of real life valuable skills from the age of 18 to 22? You know what I'm saying? If somebody walks in your office or to interview and then the smart person says, yeah, I don't have a degree, but you know, I worked construction at this point. I traveled. I really learned how to mix with a bunch of different cultures. You know, I've always had a good record with what I did versus the guy that was doing keg stands, hanging out with a bunch of other Brad, Chads, and Bradens. You know what I'm saying? If anything, if you didn't go to college, you're going to be a little battle hardened because that age is a really hard thing. I remember being that age and just being kind of wigged out. And I think that's very normal. Unless your parents are paying for you to go to a 4-year university where you're living in a little dorm and your mom stops by during the week and she grabs your Tide Pods, which you probably thought about eating, and she does your laundry for you. And then whenever you need some money, your dad will give you some money. And then you go out on the weekends and you hang out at the frat house. And maybe you're even in the frat house. Maybe eventually you're in the frat house and you can call yourself the frat president. I have no problems with frat guys, but I'm just saying, I would personally rather hire the actual smart person. And I'm not saying obviously it's to be the dumbest thing in the world to say people go to college are stupid. I'm just saying a lot of people go to college and they waste a lot of money. And they get out and they get these jobs for like $50,000 a year to sit at some desk and be miserable because they allegedly have this piece of paper, which all that piece of paper says is that you're good at following directions. So if you need to hire somebody, you know, the job description be, can you think fast on your feet? Can you problem solve? No, bitch. This motherfucker can do a keg stand and follow directions. That's about all he's got. And potentially knows how to cure the clap. Does anybody actually make it through college without some sort of STD? Oh, that's disgusting. Prioritize your health, okay? Take care of your health. Take care of your health, young gun. Speaking of prioritizing, you guys notice how the only people you still see wearing masks are just these obese people in Costco? You know what I mean? People in like the scooters. where their asses are taking up 2 lanes. Or if there's 2 of them coming at each other, one of them has to go the other way because they can't even cross. And then, well, maybe they should be the ones wearing the masks. Maybe they should be the ones wearing the masks, but then don't worry about me not wearing one because you know what? I don't want to. I don't want to because I went and got that stupid fucking jab. And I'm probably plugged into Mark Zuckerberg's network at this point because he's in cahoots with Bill Gates because Bill done broke up with Melinda. And now they're just in cahoots looking to create cyborgs and harvest human organs or something, Because it's so fucked up to me that these unelected billionaires are controlling the social narrative now, Like there should be a freedom of speech. And it's never hate speech, right? Has never been a problem. We've always been on the same page with what the fuck hate speech is. You know what I'm saying? Now all of a sudden, if you're not over here with whatever ideology it is with these billionaires who also grew up sitting around in their rooms, building computers, being nerds, getting picked on by football players and shit like that, and people who end up becoming policemen and firemen and the type of people who people call hateful. You know what I'm saying? So they grow up building computers, isolated, not having friends. Then they go to college, probably doing the same shit. And then they get into this tech industry, right? And all of a sudden they have all this power. They're just getting their revenge on the world. And we're letting these people control the narrative, dude. It's the dumbest shit ever, dude. Fuck that. Speaking of hate speech, I thought this was pretty interesting. So Shodi and I went and had a pool day yesterday, 2 days ago or something. And there was a guy, he came out. So we're at these really nice apartments, right? I mean, it's at least like $4,000 a month or something like that for these apartments. And there's a pool outside. And he's got a lower level apartment right on the pool. And he walks out and he's like, hey, do you guys mind if I let the dogs run around? And we're all like, no, obviously not, no. And he's a super nice guy, as cool as can be. And, the dogs come, we're all like petting him, like, oh, little puppy, yada, yada. And then he walks out and he's not wearing a shirt. And he has a tattoo. He has a portrait of Karl Marx and a tattoo of a guillotine and a tattoo of... It says, fuck your, and it has an M16 and it was crossed out, right? I'm like saying, this guy was so nice. He was just bro-y as can be, like just super cool guy. And, him and I were kind of just chopping it up. And it was weird to me because I was thinking, God, if this guy knew who I was, he would want me dead. He would want to see me hurt because he literally had the guillotine on his arm. And that's what that means. That's like anybody that goes against the communist government is give him the guillotine. And the funny thing is he's living in this super expensive apartment. So I wanted to ask him like, hey, bro, what do you do? What do you do that you would want communism? Because usually the type of people that want communism don't have that apartment. So it's like, dude, why don't you give up your apartment and share your apartment with all the homeless around here? And then the best part was, and so the area we were in, right, it's called Capitol Hill in Seattle, which is just the most progressive. Like I said before, it's where Chaz was, the autonomous zone. And the guy, the property manager, he comes up to Shodi and I, and he's just like, hey, who are you guys? And he was really buddy with the Guillotine Guy. And then he's like, who are you guys? And we say, oh, we're friends with yada yada, staying with her, hanging out, blah, 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 blah. He goes, okay, yeah, just didn't recognize you. We get a lot of people trying to use our pool. And you know what I said? I said, oh, so you don't keep open borders? So you want the fucking country to be all wide open, but your home, you want your home to have a secure gate, huh? Oh, it looks like the wall is working, huh? How about no human is illegal and you let us all just swim in your pool and then fuck with it and then just leave and let you clean it up, bro? Sounds about right. Why is it you want people that are less fortunate than you, right? Who don't have a gated community. You just want anybody and everybody just coming in, doing whatever they want. Homeless people shitting in the streets, vaccinating themselves and whatnot. But at your home, you want to know who's coming in and out. And that's the first thing they did at Chaz, too. The very first thing these fucking idiots did when they started the autonomous zone to like protest the oppressive government at the time was they built walls, bro. That's the very first thing they did is they built walls, and then they had armed security. It's like after the insurrection, right? What's the first thing they did? They built a fucking wall around the Capitol, and they set armed guards. Dude, you can't make this shit up. Where are we at? 16 minutes? Oh, no. Yeah, it's... That's a wild philosophy to me that people don't check their hypocrisy. And it's funny because I was watching this show called How to Be a Tyrant, I think it's called, is on Netflix, and they spotlight people like Mussolini and Hitler, obviously, and Stalin and all the... Oh yeah, that was another point I wanted to say about the tattoos, right? Like I said, this guy was a super cool person, okay? He was a super nice guy, but I just don't see any difference between communism symbols like sickles and hammers and guillotines and Karl Marx tattoos versus somebody having like iron cross. Like, okay, if I'd been walking around, I mean, and I'm not this like crazy fucking right-wing person. I'm just not. I just like making fun of stuff. You know what I mean? But if I had been running around that pool with anything like American related or something like that. Let's say I was wearing a MAGA hat, okay? For whatever fucking reason. Let's just say I felt like it because it's America. You can do what you want and wear what you want. You should be able to. Kind of like he should be able to have his tattoos. I'm not saying he shouldn't, but I'm just saying the hypocrisy is that if he would have came out and saw me wearing something that he didn't like that was more like centrist, he has the social liberties to be like, oh, fuck you, bro. What's the difference between somebody with a swastika walking out and like seeing some black people and being like, oh, I don't like you? What the fuck is the difference? You know, I mean, there's so many people, millions of people died under communist rule, and still, like, look at what's going on in Cuba. Oh, that's not real communism. Then what is? How's it nobody's ever done communism right so far? It's only ever led to death and destruction and poverty and uprisings and wars and a bunch of terrible, terrible, terrible things. And then for some reason, nobody's ever done it right according to the 21-year-old college liberal. It's crazy, dude. It's absolutely nuts. But yeah, I don't see why one is okay and the other isn't, you know? But, you know, I don't care. The guy can do whatever. And like I said, he was a nice guy. It's so sad because I think we're all so stirred up. And I think the irony is that, so basically from watching this tyrant show, they really explain how these people come to power. And a lot of them, what they need to do is create an enemy. So for instance, Hitler took the Jews, and then Stalin took anybody that opposed his regime. He was just fucking evil in general. Or they talk about like Saddam Hussein. Basically, they have to create an enemy and get people riled up against the enemy, okay? And that's how they gain control, and that's how people trust them. It's how they become likable. They become a strong leader. And it's so funny because in the United States right now, I feel like it's backwards because people love Donald Trump the same way you see, like, it must be weird for somebody that's on the left when they see people celebrating Donald Trump the way they do. Like when he walks into the UFC stadium and everybody's going crazy, right? They must be like, wow, these people treat this guy like a fucking dictator. But the irony is that it's exactly backwards because people love Donald Trump because Donald Trump is saying, you should be able to do whatever the fuck you want. You should be able to say what you want. You should be able to have all your traditional American freedoms. And he loves the country. And what the media has done, because who's really in charge now is the media and these tech companies. So what do they do to stay in power? Because they create an enemy. So they convince the entire population that this Donald Trump guy is the goddamn devil. And so now you get people riled up against something because anybody with a brain who actually somewhat pays attention to the state of the world can see inflation is going up, like housing costs is going up. Everything is super expensive. A goddamn cheeseburger costs like $9. It's jacking the fucking crack, okay? And so anybody with the brain can look at what's going on and be like, yeah, things are kind of wonky. Like the homelessness, the crime, just all the drug use and whatever it may be. You know, Chicago, 260 shootings in one weekend. Like, get the fuck out, you know? And these are all super liberal policies. And it's just mind-blowing to me because, you know, I don't want a bunch of weird, super conservative, oh, no weed, like we don't like gay people, or we should have a bunch of religion and stuff like that. I don't want that. I don't know anybody that does. But anybody with the brain can look at all this shit that's coming to the forefront on the left and say, yeah, this doesn't work. Obviously. Like, open up your fucking eyes. If you don't see it, like, there's no excuse to not see it anymore. Like, it's just everywhere. You know what I mean? Like, you just have to look and you see it. Unless you're just so in denial. But, God, there's this ringing going on outside, and it's driving me nuts. You gotta do that right now. But so what they do on the left to get everybody to disregard all those things I just mentioned is they say, if you go against us, you are racist. And who the fuck wants to be considered a racist? That's like the worst thing you could ever be because of the history in this country. Yes, there were some terrible things that happened in this country, but you want to know an interesting fact? There's more slaves today in the world than there were back when the U.S. there was slavery. Look it up. Don't believe me? Look it up. Do you have a source for that? That's these motherfuckers too. I was like, do you have a source for that? I'm like, hey, the sun's shining. It's bright out. They're like, oh, do you have a source for that? Yeah, go to CNN.com and look up the weather, bitch. You fucking troglodytes. So it's like you ask anybody, say, hey, how could you vote for this shit? And then what do they say? Well, I don't want to be a racist. At least these people aren't starting an insurrection. Come on, dog. Come on. Anyways, we're going to end it on a little lighter note. Dude, I'm trying so hard to get away from political talk. It's hard, dude, because it's everywhere. It's fucking everywhere. And I feel like it's just the world is ready for a pendulum swing. You know what I mean? I feel like I've lost so many friends by speaking my mind and the things that I do. It's what I see is my reality, you know? And I've lost a ton of friends over it and whatnot, but I just feel like the world is just ready for that pendulum shift because, I mean, come on. We can't keep doing this shit. I mean, I've always been kind of a rebellious person. You know what I mean? Like, I never, ever, ever, ever... I've always been kind of a go against the grain, go against the system. And for me, like, that's how I know something's fucked up because, you know, you get these people like, oh, resist. Bro, you are the system. We don't want the system. We want less of the system. I want my fucking freedoms. You know what I'm saying? I came to the United States for some goddamn freedoms, and I don't want you fuckers taking it away. You sheltered little people that grew up here with your moms washing your laundry when you didn't want to wash it and you wanted to eat your Tide Pods over the weekend, but she had to come and then get you out of bed because you were hungover off Busch Light Tall Boys at your state school learning communication so you can sit in an office somewhere and tell somebody that you know how to talk. Anyways, so I had Shody used to work in the service industry and the restaurant industry for a long time. And we went out grabbing some drinks last night, which was really funny because we met some people from San Francisco. We were in this area called Edmonds down at the waterfront. It's probably like 10, 15 minutes south of Seattle. And it's just really nice, okay? It's just really nice. And it's outside. I think it's outside of King County, which is Seattle. I'm not sure, though. Because King County is where all the crazy's going on, okay? And so it's right on the border. These people were visiting from San Francisco. And they were just, their mind was blown. They're like, hey, what is up with this area? Why is this so clean? Why is this? I'll be like, cause it ain't the goddamn liberals. But really, But anyway, so the server came out, and we'd been sitting there for probably an hour or something like that. And this nice girl was bringing us drinks. And then she came over and she said, okay, well, hey, my shift is over. I just want to let you know I'm going to hand you off to Emily or whoever the hell. And then Shody goes, okay, well, we'll just close out with you really quick. And she's like, oh, really? And she was like surprised. She's like, oh, wow, thank you so much. I'm like, okay, why is this a big deal right now? And it turns out, right, which, I mean, common sense, now I'm talking about this, you probably figured it out. Just I never thought about it. I figured if somebody else closes out, like the person that opened the tab would still get the tips. But turns out she wouldn't have got the tips, and she was the one serving us the whole time. So if we would have left 5 minutes later, the new girl who did nothing would have gotten her tips, and she was great. So a lesson for you, so we can take care of our great people in the service industry, because the service industry is struggling right now because a lot of people aren't working, which I don't really blame them for not wanting to go work in a restaurant versus, you know, if they're not going to get paid as much, but it is what it is. A lot of people working in the service industry are getting fucked. They're understaffed, and so we need to treat them well right now. So if somebody comes up to you at your table and they say, hey, I'm going to hand you over, close out with them so they can get their tips, all right? Get a bit of tip, okay? And with that, where are we at? 26 minutes. Yeah, we're going to call it quits. So I want to thank you guys very much. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Lord Petty podcast. Like I said, please leave a review. It really helps out a lot. Share the podcast with your friends. Put it on your Instagram stories, your word of mouth. It really helps move things along. Go to lordpetty.com if you want to buy one of these beautiful shirts so I can take your money and lose it in Bitcoin. And with that, I'm going to leave you for this week. Like I said, I appreciate you guys, and I will talk to you next week.